It is.
This is 3 now, what are you talking about? And besides, keeping it about an hour long is less of a... all the things happening are the same, and more of a... makes it easier to re-find your place in the playlist.
So we just need to come back and do some more dialogue then.
Yeah, we ain't done yet. We still have most of the characters to go through. We got partway through Cassia.
Part of the way through Cassia because Cassia decided to take us to the bridge.
Elsewhere. Your quarters.
Right. Hey Cassia,
And then you took a bath.
Anything else to say to me?
And then you tried to get her to join you in the bath, and she was like, no, man.
I have enjoyed your company.
She has nothing else to say to me.
Unless you want to confront her. Argenta.
Hey, Master Helmsman.
Shut the fuck up.
You have nothing... Okay.
Thanks.
I'll let you just stand here. Hey, there's this guy over here. Lettered Forest? Now I'll go talk to Argenta. Because she's right here.
Greetings.
Hi, can you tell me... I'm waiting for you to tell me about your past and explain the strange words of the cultists on Footfall.
Yes, I'm ready. I would ask only one thing of you, rogue trader. If I may, I would like to see the chamber of the sacred warrant and kneel.
Remember that thing Cassia just did?
Himself.
So go somewhere else so that they can have the voice their lines?
Mm-hmm.
And I wish to pray by the
I feel like she's going to take us to the shrine so that she doesn't have to voice her lines. Of course, let's go right there. Let's go there right away. And then they just have nods gratefully. So they
I'm
don't have to voice any
excited
more lines.
for whenever we actually do manage to go through with the DLC stuff, because some of that stuff's kind of fucking cool.
Mm-hmm.
But it takes a while to set up. And we're not going fast. Let's put it that way.
There's a lot of dialogue and things happening.
Well, if you skip all the dialogue, the game gets a lot faster. But that would be...
through all the dialogue. and
Exactly.
That's literally all that is the game.
I
It's a
know.
story game.
Argenta drops to her
Argenta's
knees, her hands making the sign of the Aquila. Her eyes locked on the sweeping signature on the warrant, a seemingly mundane thing, merely a flourish on a piece of paper. Unless one knows whose hand left that mark and whose blood is on that paper. If thou seest the flaw in me, smite me. If thou know'st the fall of mine, burn me with flames of fury and righteousness. But if thou seest delight in me, grace me. If thou hearst this plea of mine, bless me with wrath of fury and righteousness.
Oh hey, it rhymes. And by rhymes, I mean she used the same word. Twice.
For I breathe by the will of thine, for I live by the will of thine, by the law of thine. I carry thy word, O Emperor. I bring solace to servants of thine, and ruin to foes of thine, a fate of terror and righteousness.
It also rhymes.
Rogue Trader, we need to talk, or rather, I need to tell you something. The truth. The truth about how I ended up on Theodora von Valancius' ship, and about the cultists we encountered on Footfall.
You lied to me? But I'm listening.
Please understand, I couldn't trust you before. I'll tell you my story, and you'll see why. I'll start at the beginning. It's easier to piece everything together that way. Upon arriving in the Expanse and on Footfall, I found no purpose here, only torment. I wasn't needed. The reliquary I had been assigned to safeguard was already well protected by revered Hieronymus' mission, and no one was even trying to defile it. For all its lawlessness, Footfall respects the worship of the Emperor. God, that is such a trip word.
What is?
Footfall.
Football?
Footfall. And the brain goes idiot, and then I have to stop and catch myself back up. That was when Lady Theodora, head of your dynasty, appeared. She became an agent of divine will in a way. It was from her that I learned about a planet recently discovered by her scouts, Salus Prime. For a rogue trader, the planet was of little interest, a pharaoh world, away from a convenient warp routes. But for me, learning about its existence was a revelation.
I've never heard of such a planet. Does it belong to the Von Valentius dynasty?
Yes. Now the planet is yours by right. But it's not as simple as that. The warp route leading to it was lost. I will explain in due time, but may I continue?
Yes, please continue. Sorry to interrupt.
The description of Salus Prime was familiar to me. It seemed very similar to a world from an ancient legend. The legend of Saint Argenta and her ship. Argenta, the living saint, she is my patroness. The order named me after her. She died millennia ago when heretics caused her ship to fall from the skies. But even those blasphemers could not touch Argenta's ashes or her holy relic, the One Star. For the fallen ship, which now served as the resting place for the saint's remains, would only allow the truly righteous to enter. All others would meet their death. Imagine what I felt when this flash of insight came upon me. The world where Saint Argenta's ship fell was merely a vague legend, no one knew its actual whereabouts, and suddenly I, myself named after the saint, come across this information. I realized at that moment that it was important, that I must journey to that planet and find that ship. And so I asked Reverend Hieronymus to let me go for a time on a personal pilgrimage. I boarded Theodora's ship and demanded passage to the newly discovered planet Salus Prime.
It's muted. Why did you keep your supposition from Reverend Hieronymus? Surely he could have helped you with your search for the ship and the saint's remains.
I just couldn't come out and tell him. It was a portent revealed to me personally, can't you see? I told Reverend Hieronymus the honest truth, that I was going on a personal pilgrimage to embolden my spirit. It really was a pilgrimage. It was as if Saint Argenta herself had shown me the way, commanding me to undertake this trial. If I had found the ship and set foot on its docks, if I had laid my hand on her remains and the relic, it would have been a sign that I truly had been blessed with the saint's favor.
That's understandable. Searching for your destiny, for your place in the world, is a special matter, a personal one. You either succeed at it, or you don't.
I thought that I had been called, that finding the ship was my destiny, my place in the world. Perhaps there is something to that.
I imagine Theodora was thrilled with the prospect.
Lady Theodora lent her assistance. It was her intention to visit the newly discovered world, and she took me with her.
You mentioned something called the One Star? What is it?
Apologies, I got so carried away I forgot to explain. The One Star is the relic kept by Saint Argenta. I belong to the Order Pronatus, and we attach particular significance to holy relics. The One Star is one of the lost relics of the past, so mysterious that no one even knows what it is exactly. Argentus hagiography at times calls it a banner, or a set of armor, or a blessed chainsword. One thing is certain. It was a beacon of righteousness, and it was lost of Argenta's death.
What happened next?
Defeat. The ship's augers failed to detect anything of note during the orbital scanning. I was expecting this, though, according to the legend, the ship can conceal itself from the naked eye, and only a pilgrim guided by a pure heart can find it. What I didn't expect was an ambush waiting for us on the planet. I landed there with a small unit provided by Theodora. I know St. Argenta's by hagiography by heart. I know all the legends about her. I followed their obscure clues, the descriptions of mountains and rivers from millennia-old tales, and I was certain I'd found the way to the ship. And that's when we were attacked. The words we heard in the heretic shrine on footfall. Something about ways, doors, please, addressed to some lord, the edge of daybreak. They were the same words as those spoken by the cultists who attacked us on Salus Prime. My whole unit perished. All those honest, brave people I had led to search for the relic. It was only a miracle that I didn't perish along with them. I didn't connect these events at first. The cultists on Footfall, the cultists on Salus Prime, the cultists attacking the ship, and Kunrad's betrayal. What if these are all links in the same chain? What if they've long since infiltrated the ranks of the Von Valancian servants? What if I led those heretics to the sacred planet with my search?
There's no need to blame yourself. If the heretics really had wormed their way into the Von Valancia's ranks by then, they would have found the planet, even without you going there.
I doubt it. No one except me was particularly interested in the planet. Kunrad, on the other hand, he sympathized with me when I first came aboard, helped me arrange an audience with Theodora, and supported me in my efforts to visit the planet. I never told him plainly why I wanted to go there, but I imagine that Vulture might have figured it out, that it was something important. Something related to the holy faith of the Imperium, and what could delight a heretic more than defiling a relic.
Probably the only one who might have all the answers. Kunrad escaped.
Oh yes, and I sincerely hope we meet him again. That servant needs to answer a few questions before he is plunged in the cleansing flame.
So, how did you manage to escape from the cultists?
Theodora's people received the distress call, came to my rescue, and brought me aboard the ship. I barely remember what happened. When they arrived, I was already severely wounded, fighting back with whatever remained of my strength. I think I shouted that we had to go after them, but they didn't listen. They took me to the shuttle and pulled out. After that, it's all blackness. When I came to, we were already in the middle of a warp jump. Theodora had urgent matters to take care of, and she decided that she should clear out the planet at a later time.
And that's why you didn't trust me before, correct?
Yes, rogue trader. I saw with my own eyes how a member of your family showed his true colors as a servant of the archenemy. I had already suffered a humiliating defeat at the hands of cultists, and was afraid of another betrayal. I couldn't be forthright with you, and so I studied you, looking for seeds of corruption, or the light of righteousness.
And what did you find?
A man who stood shoulder to shoulder with me and helped eradicate the cultists on Footfall. Although my opinion of you started to change even before then. Back when you agreed to talk to the orphans at my request. A leader who's willing to honor those who laid down their lives for them and take care of their children is a leader who inspires trust. And the way you acted in that moment. Do you remember? There was a young man whose grief and confusion had driven him to insolence.
Yeah.
You found the words that could confront him, that could comfort him. You didn't punish him, didn't scare him with a show of austerity, and even admitted that you were not all-powerful. It surprised me. I even saw it as weakness at first, but after giving it some thought, I saw the wisdom in it. The way you openly addressed the thoughtless boy does you credit, rogue trader. Yeah, Arik hasn't spoken in about a fucking week, and I can tell.
We're putting your voice to good use. Making sure that you're...
Making sure I can do Phoenix right.
Exactly that. You have to talk a lot for the detective game.
I have to talk the entire time for the detective game. There, I'm all alone. That's the solo game happening right now, by the way. Just to timestamp this shit. I took a week off because... sickness. But we got part 1 done. I mean me. Now let's go!
You watch the rest of it live at twitch.tv/ArikFox.
You almost got it out.
It's in the description below.
It is in the description below.
If
do you
I
like my Twitch?
Put it in the description.
Like, do you normally link my Twitch? I don't know. I haven't checked your description box.
I think I link your YouTube and just your YouTube.
Ah, yes. Where
So,
things
for
are
this episode,
edited.
at the very least, I'm going to link to it. So, just to clarify, you were wounded, so you never found Saint Argenta's ship. Is that right?
Yes. I rushed to Theodora the moment I could walk again, and I insisted on going back to Salus Prime to defend the relic from the heretics, but I was told the warp had destroyed the old route to the planet, and that plotting and doing would take a great deal of time and effort. As if there could be anything more important than protecting the faith and hunting down servants of the archenemy.
I mean, there's that demon world that's over there.
So we should go kill them? Hunting down
Yeah.
servants of the archenemy, sir. I have plenty of bolter rounds. In any event, the route was lost, and all knowledge of it died in the attack on the ship along with the old navigator. But now we have a new lead. The data that we collected in the cultist shrine on Footfall. I don't care what that reprobate we executed said. There must be a way to track them down. Tell me, Rogue Trader, will you help me in this undertaking? Will you help me find this great relic and return it to the people of the Imperium?
If it is important to you, I will help. That opens the path saying that if there's something else important to you, I will also help with.
So be it, Rogue Trader. As I stand here before the warrant, the embodiment of the Emperor's will marked by his own hand, I vow that I will not relent until the holy relic has been returned and the heretics punished. May the light may the light be with us both on this path.
Enter dialogue.
Bleh. Bleh.
Oh, Argenta at least has the... not dignity. The forethought to return us to where we came from.
Of course, she's not careless, sir.
Is that saying that Cassia is careless? That's kind of is in her description that I think about.
Do not ask questions you already know the answer to.
Oh, the warp effect is back.
It
And
never left,
disappeared.
sir.
I have to have hope that it'll just disappear one day.
Off screen, I'm just fighting it with a flamer. Double check Argenta, and here we go. We continue.
Double check Argenta. Let's see
Lord
what the...
Captain, your presence.
Oh look, there's more!
And I wish
Oh.
to apologize for my prior coldness. After our first meeting, I was concerned that you would turn out to be another faithless offshoot of the von Valancius dynasty, like the traitor Conrad. But now I see before me a worthy leader and servant of the Imperium. I am glad to accompany you in your endeavors.
I have a question.
What?
If you went full heretic, just full heretic, would Argenta hate you?
I don't have the heart to find out.
This should be something I would ask, James. But I don't know if he would know, or would talk to her. Are you ready to tell me about yourself now?
If such is the rogue trader's wish, although there isn't much I can tell, I am the Emperor's daughter and his servant. What else is there to know?
Where do you hail from?
Now that I can tell you. I come from everywhere and nowhere. I am the child of officers of the Imperial Guard. I was born in the hold of a warship, grew up following my parents' deployments from one planet to another, and lost my family in the flames of a righteous war.
Does that technically make her Voidborn? If she was born on a warship?
There's some technicalities in place.
Okay.
My memory is like wafts of smoke over a still battlefield. The grey of a ship's plating. The strict cadence of life in military camps. My mother's uniform. I loved looking at it. Then, that battle. The rumbling, the shouting. and the soot. The screams of soldiers burning alive, and the gold of the regiment's Aquila. Untouched by soot or blood. The last unsullied piece of a world that was going mad.
There's a difference
That
between...
was my last memory of my mother, and of my
Sorry.
former life. Before the Schola Progenium and the novitiate. Before my trials. Before the vows.
There's a very big difference between War World, oh, they just happen to have been born on a ship in between planets, and they've been nothing but space for the last 74 generations.
One is they have their roots set up on a planet type thing, or on a planet in general. And the other is they've been living in space, and only on space, for forever.
It's like the children of immigrants.
Then, are the Aldari technically void-born?
Most certainly.
Because they live on a giant planet-sized spaceship. Yeah. That golden shard that you carry with you, that I haven't seen or know anything about. What is it?
My own relic. It's the regiment's Aquila. Or rather, the fragment that survived the attack, the explosions, and the fire. For me, it's a reminder that purity and radiance can be preserved, even in the heart of darkness.
So how did you become one of the Adeptus Sororitas? Sororitas.
Because
Ratata.
it's such a strange word for it. It seems right,
Ratata.
but is that how one talks about their destiny? If you're asking about the path itself, that's
I
easy enough
added
to answer.
so many of them.
First,
Sororita.
like many other orphans, I endured the Schola Progenium.
There's one
Those
A,
years were rough.
not like
I
5.
remember the
Sororitas.
hardship fondly.
Sorority.
Few things can
It
compare
has.
with the feeling of satisfaction from a past trial.
See, I knew
Even if it
sorority.
leaves your body aching
It
from
does.
exhaustion.
Sororita.
That's where I was trying to go.
And pain.
That's how Sororitas was born.
Not
I was one of the
Sororita.
best among my peers, and I was selected for the novitiate in the ranks of the Adeptus Sororitas. When the hour came,
Sororitas.
I passed the trials and took my vows. The most joyous day of my life. The Emperor's light has always been with me, but to accept it with all your heart, to utter the oaths, that is a rapture like no other.
I have so much trouble just reading. Have you ever wished for a different lot in life? Anything else that's not this?
I ever... But that would be shameful weakness, almost heresy. Of course not. I was born for this. I live by the Emperor's will, and in his light, I myself am the light. I must be the light. For myself, and for those who ask for my protection.
I think I offended her.
Not
sure.
really.
I was chosen to serve. But beyond that, I won't deny it. Few things elate me as much as the thought that the heretic felled by my shot will never again orphan a child.
He's just a good person.
Yes.
He's just a good person. Oh,
Why are you making
I
those?
hated her so much, and now I can't find a reason to actually hate her.
Oh, look at that.
And it's bothering me. Okay. I'll add it to the list of not so hated characters. Thank you for your candor.
It is my pleasure to be candid.
I would like to discuss Salus Prime and the relic that you want to find.
Of course, my mission is all I can think about.
We couldn't have this in dialogue earlier, but since you're asking for a recap, we decided to give them a paycheck for this stuff.
Which is just the other part rehashed. Probably shortened down by a couple lines.
Just a couple.
Maybe like a paragraph or two less.
Yeah.
Remind me, what is our mission?
To find the way to the planet called Salus
No,
Prime.
several paragraphs.
Saint
It looks
Argenta
like.
is my patroness, and that is where her fallen ship is. And it must also be the resting place of her great relic, the One Star.
Tell me about Saint Argenta.
I mean, I'm not saying I did great, but I am saying that if they were paying people, I should be on the payroll
Gladly.
for voice lines in this goddamn game.
Long ago, there was a
You
blessed
did not do
world.
poorly.
Thousands of stars covered the sky there.
Only like 3
So
instances of
bright
editing.
that its denizens
Maybe a
hardly
few
knew
more.
the darkness of
But shut up.
night. Thousands of rivers nurtured the soil. Thousands of gardens bloomed every spring.
Now
And
I'm
at
curious
every
about who her
moment,
voice actor is.
thousands of
Someone that
praise
didn't get paid for my
were flying
lines.
into the clear air, thanking and praising the Emperor. But one day, the people learned the meaning of darkness. Like a storm, accursed heretics who had sold themselves to the archenemy descended upon the planet. Shells flew from the sky that desolated whole cities and burned the gardens and filled the riverbeds with the blood of the faithful. Smoke and soot swallowed the skies and the 1,000 stars that had once shone over the world.
But they did get paid to do these lines,
Yeah.
which are just describing something.
Among the handful of survivors was one orphan who had watched all her
Ah,
family
the tale of
die.
Saint
The
Argenta.
garden she'd grown up in burned to ash. But in her heart, she knew the absolute truth. Just these 3 words. The Emperor protects. And knowing that, she never looked away from the black, terrifying, smoke-covered sky. There were no more bright stars to be seen. Except for one.
So let me get this right. She watched her family and home essentially burn up around her. And her first thoughts were, the Emperor protects. Praising the Emperor who kept her alive.
If you think I was paying attention, you are sorely mistaken.
Cool. That's just my thoughts
One
listening to this.
star. The bright star. The silver star shone in the sky.
And she
And when the
seems to
orphan
care a lot
smiled
about it.
at it, the one star fell right into her hands. All the faithful in every corner of the continent who saw the trail of the falling star recognized it as an omen and went looking for the place where it landed. And they rallied together. And with the light of the one star, they found their salvation.
And that's the story of Saint Argenta, not Argenta.
Assumingly Saint Argenta,
Yes,
Argenta
that
just
was the
watched the
beginning
family
of her
die
hagiography.
on a
It is
spaceship.
known that she lived on a world where heretics staged a terrible insurrection. They wiped out all life on the planet, except those whom Saint Argenta managed to save with the one star, and with the strength of her faith. After that, she traveled between worlds gripped by turmoil on her ship, marked with a silver star, and brought hope to the faithful. Numerous accounts confirm this. Her coming helped people turn the tide of the war and wipe away corruption before the Imperium's main forces even arrived. Millions of people owed their lives to her, but the heretics, having realized their imminent defeat, sent the remnants of their forces after the ship with the Silver Star. It fell from the skies onto an obscure world. There are no definitive records of how old Argenta was at the time. In some chronicles, she's even called the Child Saint, but their credibility is questionable. Either way, she didn't live long, but she left a bright trail in her wake, like a falling star.
Did she make a mistake there?
What?
But their credibility is questionable.
Some chronicles she's called a child saint, but the credibility of those chronicles is questionable.
And not what the words actually mean or anything, but the way the voice actor said it sounded like they made a mistake there, and they quickly said the next word to cover over it.
I didn't hear it.
I guess it just might be the difference between credibility is and credibilities with the hyphen S. Or I could be imagining it. So what exactly is the 1 star? I know I asked you this like 10 minutes ago. But perhaps you have more insight now.
If I only knew. Neither the hagiography nor the legends give a straight answer.
You got that word right.
Iconographers believed that the star turned into a
Wow, whenever you're allowed to stop, look at your script and go, hey, how do you want me to pronounce this?
No, you got that word right.
Okay.
But did no harm to the faithful. Most of them portrayed Saint Argenta as a girl carrying this banner.
I'm sure the voice actor for this did all these lines 10, 15, 20 times.
The fuck is this
before
word?
They finally accepted
the fuck
one.
is this word? Alright, let's go.
Others think that upon falling from the sky, the 1 star became a holy chainsword, which Argenta later used to strike down monsters and enemies of the Imperium. In some of the earlier engravings, Argenta is depicted wearing power armor with a silver star on her chest. One theological theory suggests that this armor was, in fact, the relic. Some even think that the 1 star is actually the ship on which Argenta traveled.
So no one agrees on what this is. It just is something.
I feel that my undertaking will be fulfilled.
It has been lost to time.
Which has eluded the ecclesiarchy for millennia. I pray we find the way to Salus Prime soon. The ruinous powers must be aligned against us. They stand in the way of faith.
I have no more questions for you.
One day we will reach Salus Prime.
Get off my boat.
And stand before the gates of Saint Argenta's ship. I know it.
I haven't saved for a while.
Don't do that.
It would be a disaster if I actually hit that. Speaking of, I should make a save.
Like, I don't even want to be mean to people to see what they say.
It's an accidental. I pressed this button when I didn't need to.
And then we go, no! You forgot about this guy.
I saw this guy, but I didn't want to go talk to him. Ah, you.
Greetings, your lordship. Your chosen Majoris is at your service.
Who are you, and tell me about your responsibilities?
My job is to save lives, heal wounded officers, develop vaccines for onboard epidemics, discover new methods of healing. However, I spend most watches listening to patients about their many qualms, managing the junior Medicaid officers, and dividing the afflicted into those who matter and those who do not. A rather irritating addition of my duties as the Suffragan Majoris.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure you weren't, not the most compassionate of healers, are you? What sort of new methods are you talking about?
There are many. I am ever in search of solutions to dangerous afflictions. My latest work involves studying a particularly lethal disease that devours a person's flesh and skin. It has already claimed a dozen lives, but their deaths were not in vain. I have learned much about the enemy, and the vaccine will soon be ready for testing.
You're not the most compassionate of healers, are you?
Compassion has nothing to do with the healer's trait. I prefer conversing with diseases rather than the carriers. Patients are aggravating.
I see.
I hope I have satisfied your curiosity.
Yeah, when did you get here? I'm pretty sure you weren't here earlier. So how did you come to serve on my flagship?
I was the master healer on a world that belonged to Korda Dynasty. I had managed to cure someone who was considered doomed, not because of their illness, but because of a certain self-important priest. I tried to cure them with a prayer and failed. After I put him to shame, he started spreading rumors that I owed my skill to the influence of the ruinous powers. I sought refuge under Lady Theodora, who expressed an appreciation for my talents and welcomed me and my family on her ship.
But you weren't here, like, last week. Are the customs of Cordia worlds truly so uncompromising and blind to reason?
You teach a man to read and you raise a bright heretic, I believe was one of the favored local sayings. As for demonstrating the superiority of knowledge over the advice of holy ecclesiarchs, well, that kind of defiance was sure to put my life at risk. Naturally, House Corda still has need of people like me, educated and capable of intellectual thought. However, anyone who is permitted to learn does so under strict supervision. I've heard Lady Insinja's ship has a dedicated compartment for sages and keepers of knowledge that more resemble a prison than a librarium.
Faith can work miracles and cure those who are beyond treatment. This cannot be denied.
And neither can one deny the fact that miracles are rare. The belief that prayer can relieve a person of illness enables false hopes, and those who prefer healing themselves with reverent words still end up on my table, so that I can perform an autopsy rather than a procedure.
You're not actually a heretic, are you? You serve the Emperor faithfully?
My expertise is the result of hard work and accumulated wisdom, not some paltry sorcery. I employ my craft to save his children. That should serve as a better proof of my innocence than any show of piety.
Sure. There's something else I wish to discuss. Because the carelessness, pointing out the carelessness of his case, sounds bad. How is the crew's health? Calling him a heretic was bad too. But
interested in a general report on the ship as a whole, or in hearing about how your immediate subordinates are faring?
Give me a general report.
I am currently not aware of any epidemics or large-scale threats to the lives of the crew, or anything more serious to normal at least. Minor outbreaks are part of the natural decline process. The Medicae are occupied with treating both industrial and combat injuries as well as dealing with sporadically occurring ailments.
And the senior officers? What kind of complaints do they have?
The Master Helmsman's headaches caused by his faulty implants, the high factotum's occasional indigestion, the Master-at-Arms combat wounds that can hardly be considered life-threatening. Vapid cases that I am obligated to manage as the Tefergia Majoris. At least the Infernus Master does not waste my time and simply comes to pick up ointments for his burns.
So of course Arik is the only logical one of the bunch. Now, the other method.
What would you like to discuss?
Nothing. I'll leave you be. That'll be all.
Lord Captain.
Councilman didn't have anything for me. Arik is all good. He doesn't complain about nothing.
Doesn't complain about nothing. It's the most, like, he's good. In the... The specific choice of words.
Boxmaster we've already talked to, has no rumors for me. Abelard we talked to.
We got some big problems heading our way, though.
Talked to Urilet.
I mean, you can talk to Urilet again if you want. Lord Captured. I can't remember how Caleb does it.
I feel like I shouldn't mention that. That is all for now.
Proud to serve the dynasty. That's definitely not it.
No.
Save.
Save. Hey, Urilet, you have anything else to say to me? No. There's Heinrich over here. There's Miss Stabby Lady over there.
Jay.
There's Jay and there's Pascal. Full 4 more people.
Yarp.
Not to mention Abel over here.
Yarp.
5 people.
Yarp.
So, Brother Abel, what are you here for?
You are acknowledged. No words.
How are you feeling?
The running of the binary protocols was bogged down and dissolved in false commands. The filter has separated the correct signals from the incorrect. The running has been restored to its swiftness. Tech Brother Abel has passed the diagnostics. The pernicious influence of sacrilegious procedures has been completely eliminated. Statistically, most survivors of a schismatical infestation are left with severe cognitive impairments. However, Tech Brother Abel's mind, being of a less typical nature, has not been damaged to a so great a degree.
Why do you and Pascal have the same name?
That naming of the names is not an index to the text. The naming of the names is the text. Abel's answers can be enigmatic. His mind works differently from ours. He thinks in harmonic imagery and notices the symmetries and proportional relationships in the world around him. Poetry would be the closest analogy to how he perceives and interacts with reality.
You can just yell at him to express himself clearly.
Do it now, boy.
I never imagined there could be poets among the tech priests.
Why not? Techna Lingua is rhythmical and possesses a broad semantic scope, and some of its more sonorous dialects lend themselves well to individual and symphonic declamation. Of course, you had to pick the one character I also have to read. Because they don't voice Pascal for Abel. That'd be too hard.
They should.
Get on the bridge. It's the rules.
Abel, could you please explain what you mean?
Oh well, we get through it pretty damn
apologize.
quickly whenever Eric's reading things.
Yeah.
I mean, I could take more time, really give each one their fucking money's worth, but, I don't think anyone cares that much.
No. Hey, Pascal, do you understand what Abel's referring to?
Negative. However, I will hypothesize. Tech Brother Abel is seeking to convey the idea that our matching identifiers are not the key to some vital data point. They are, in and of themselves, the vital data point. At this stage in my analysis, I can draw no useful conclusions from this proposition.
Are we overthinking it? It doesn't matter why your names are the same. What matters is that they are the same. Is that what you mean?
At this point in time, the cycle has been broken and reshaped into a rising spiral, as Amarnat envisioned. They are connected. My hypothesis regarding Abel's connection to the blessed Amarnat has been confirmed.
What are you working on?
We catch the soul of the light in the solar wind. We look for the footsteps the Omnissiah left when he walked in the desert. This is the
Good luck.
unromantic computation procedure. The depersonalized minds of these machine servants are in a data dream, processing enormous arrays of assorted data and aggregating them. Virtually all results of such synthesis are scrap data, but occasionally we have noted coincidences whose exactness defied logic. It is an extremely rare and venerated form of statistical augury, but Tech Brother Abel is adept at this form of appealing to the Deus Mechanicus.
Say,
Hey, I did it!
you mind looking for some logical conclusions?
It's not just NPCs, it's me too! Can't make out a lot of things. Abel peers at you inquisitively, then shifts his gaze to the vid screen, and you could swear that a smile lit up on his face under his respiratory augmetic. 106 experience!
A lot of experience with nothing.
A crystal is exquisite in clear water. Deviation from the crystal's trajectory has been increased, as was Emarnat's wish. He lowers his head and his vox emphasizes the broadcast of Binaric hymn you do not recall having heard before. Its sound is full of vibrant energy, and its precise rhythm is nothing short of pleasing to the ear. A rare thing for the language of the AdMech. Tech brother Abel has dedicated a lesser aria to you. The piece is distinguished by a high degree of acoustic harmony. It is fit to use as a motto, auxiliary identifier, or epitaph.
I thank you for the generous gift.
The gift is disproportionate, but it does signify a personal affinity.
Why do you do it?
It is how we execute the quest for knowledge in the hopes that the machine god grants us an epiphany, so that we may discern a logical connection in a mass of absurd data, which will propel our comprehension forward.
Inspect the sacred machine.
Their hair has been removed from the servitors' heads, their bulky cerebral augmetics cover their skulls like helmets, and the faces of the servants are blank. Their eyes are closed, their lips are incessantly whispering that it sounds like gibberish. Hundreds of lines of symbols containing information scroll down from the cogitator's vid screen. Abel Hundeneman peers at it with voracious interest, in sharp contrast to his usual placidity.
My interest in this subject has been exhausted.
They're looking at some servitors, they're twitching. He looks at the calculations.
Do you hear what Abel said? It seems we have contributed to Armanat's design and deviated from the cycle. What does this mean for you?
We follow a path charted by a great mind, but that path leads to dark places. The cycle has the advantage of predictability. Abandoning it will plunge the collective into a perilous space of uncertainty, which will inevitably lead to disasters and the risk of universal annihilation. The doctrine of discontinuing the cycle may herald good things to come, or it may be a death sentence. Only the Omnissiah knows all, and comprehends all. Others are mere prophets who interpret his wisdom as far as their own comprehension permits.
As flawed as the status quo is,
That the one you want to go with?
well, I don't want to set not the promise of every heresy to renounce our path to shorter doctrine and head towards. That's renouncing taking new paths. That's saying that anything that is not part of essentially the established rules and lines is heresy. And it's dangerous. The second one says that despite not being part of the established path, it helped us live for this long.
Well,
So
the
it's
second one
fine.
is the established path has helped us live for this long.
Oh, that's specifically saying, hey, stick to the established path, despite it being flawed. Oh. I was reading as if the status quo meant not the established path.
That is why I questioned.
And I thank you for it. I was misunderstanding what I was reading again.
Chaos is a ladder-ass response. Or no future for me.
You skipped the third one. It's better to meet the challenge of change and perish in failure than to rot alive.
Because I really can't argue with that. Can't argue with the chaos is a ladder one either. But it's a little bit more than it maybe needs to be. This statement is true. The annihilation promised by stagnation is inevitable. Annihilation in the course of a crisis of change is merely probable, and meekly waiting for the foretold decline is shameful and constitutes a betrayal of the quest for knowledge.
Well, I'm going to take my leave and go talk to somebody else.
You're not gonna
Nice
gaze
talking
into
to
his
you.
eyes?
Oh no, I'm not going to claim that he was possessed.
Well, it's making sure, man.
Are you still possessed?
What was flawed has since been purged, but the shadows of the hunt linger. The cog is dismounted, and no judgment has been made. In the absence of judgment, threat remains. Who will make the judgment? I will. I will make the judgment that it will avert the threat. There is no need to frighten him.
What troubles him so?
I assumed at first it was caused by the shock inflicted upon his system by the schismatical attack, but my tech brother's words are a sign of a deeper reason for his unease. He foresees something. Something that threatens both him and all those around him, and thus I stand ready to face this threat.
What judgment do you speak of?
Only he knows. But if my tech brother fears that he might not make the right decision at the critical moment, then I will do it for him.
So you care for him as if he were truly your younger brother.
Tech brother Abel is harmonious, and harmony is beauty. It is so strange. Is it so strange an urge to protect beauty from the horrors of the grotesque?
Why are you so concerned? I will try not to give Abel any undue cause for dread.
Thank you.
Now I will take my leave. Goodbye. I get to the actual voice lines.
Knows all, comprehends all.
He is slower than I am. Get comfy.
Messages appearing in the ship's log. What do you know about this error?
This statement is true. Algorithmic
Oh.
violations have been recorded.
I
You
do my
simply-
best to copy their voices.
Referring to the contrary.
It
do
doesn't
pretty
make
well.
a lot of difference because I know I sound the same, no matter what I do.
I hypothesize that the violation is a
But I try.
of the discontent
You give them enough of a
between spirits.
difference so you can tell who is who.
I'm pretty sure you can only tell that because you've heard me talk so much.
The Omnissiah
Is that true?
angels sent by
Maybe.
him.
Probably not, though.
But like, whereas everybody else, looking at you here, is like, ugh, it's my voice, I can't stand this. I'll listen to myself trying to play multiple different characters and go, that sounds the fucking same, idiot. I don't got a lot of range.
That's why I don't bother just changing my voice when I'm reading two different characters. Unless I'm female, then I try a little bit. I want to know the truth about you. What was this whole thing that he just talked about? Because I didn't hear any of it. Doesn't matter.
Data
I wanna know the
caches.
truth about you.
Data caches from Theodora.
Data caches from Theodora?
Yeah.
Data
Strange
caches from
messages
Theodora.
on the ship's log. Never mind, it's a
Ah.
different thing. We'll get to that later.
Yes. I want to know the truth about you. Tell me what you know.
Promise is approved. I did conceal certain information. I was a student of Archmagos Amanat, but I committed an act of betrayal after he deviated from sacred dogma.
You know what? This is gonna take some time.
It's
Just
gonna
because
take a bit.
You're reading his lines at 2 times speed, essentially. So he's reading at half the speed you were.
Though I am noticing they're giving him much shorter boxes of dialogue.
Yeah. I hope it remains like that. What did the Armanat do?
He fell into schism and challenged the sacred boundaries of knowledge. The blessed Amanat claimed the limits of what is permitted must
In the
be
meanwhile, I have a bag of this little Andy's
by
mint.
refusing to explore certain law, we find ourselves in contempt of the seventh universal law. Comprehension is the key to all things.
They take about the same amount of time as everybody else's long pair. Of course, he speaks without emotional inflection, which makes him different.
My mentor put forth a thesis claiming that we have stagnated, that ritual is now nothing but a cage for souls and false worship of the old Messiah. He sought to break the cycle of mindless repetition because he saw the inevitable demise of our faith and all humanity at the end of it.
I do kind of like the effect that they put on his voice, though. Really
Coming
makes
out
him
of a
seem
Voxcaster.
Yeah.
Not meat. Meat is not involved.
He doesn't have a voice box. What does he need one of those for? Certain aspects of the Imperium have indeed ossified. His arguments sound... Wait a second. This is a choice.
Fascinating.
This is a choice.
The most I'm not getting involved. Fascinating.
It's fascinating. His mentor, the Archmage of Armanot, put forth a thesis claiming that we are stagnated. Second one's claiming he's a heretic. First one is saying, yeah, no, that sounds perfectly alright. Third one saying it's a theological argument, it's not a political one. This seems like a theological argument.
Admech has a
Not a
thing
political one.
against making your own shit. Like, they try not to let people come up with solutions on the fly. It's more, is this written in the holy whatever the fucks? If not, there is no solution, try again.
They're literally computer people who follow their programming to the letter.
And then every now and then you have, like, for instance, Call. Because they're the big one in lore right now. That's like, yeah, maybe, but I think I can figure out some new shit that'll actually help. And those are heretical.
Because it's not following the program.
Uh-huh.
I see.
But
So
the
it
program
seems
is rife with stagnation.
Yeah. So he's not wrong. Does the choice even matter?
A lot of these shift the characters. Essentially, here's the big thing. All the characters have basically, I think it's like 3 states they could end the game with. Hard one way, hard another way, and just about where they start. Like Heinrich's, for instance. He comes in and he's like, I want to be the inquisitorial thing, which means, you know, picking the cold-blooded options and, you know, like
Getting
blow
rid
up
of
the
anyone who's
planet.
not normal, like, you know.
Well, no, it's stuff like blow up the planet instead of let on some heretics, or people that could be heretics to possibly cause problems somewhere else. Things like that. And, like, if you continue to pick things in a certain way, his heart softens, or his heart hardens, or he basically stays where he is and it just kind of bleh, one way or the other. Everybody basically has that little thing to them. Like, Cassia there is all about, like, do I find something new or do I just go with the old nobility and options? Pascal's is involved in this thing.
This would be heart soften, heart harden. Stay the same and neutral. Essentially, for 1, 2, 3, and 4 in that order.
Kinda, sorta, yeah. It's the same concept behind Cabela and quote-unquote fixing her versus...
I don't think you can fix that.
Kind of. There's more to her than it seems. You don't exactly have unbiased painters.
Bro. So I think I'll just go with my original choice. Certain aspects of the Imperium have indeed ossified. This argument sounds reasonable, I suppose.
I'm just eating little chocolate rectangles.
This statement is false. My mentor's words sound like heresy. Limits were established because it is dangerous to venture beyond.
You have the
Each
time.
step past them could lead to a bloody slaughter, but the blessed Amanat was not afraid.
I never know when someone's gonna lead you away. I need to be prepared, but I'm going to have my treat before then.
I don't think he will lead me away until I've asked about Abel. Until you have time. Probably. How did you betray Armanat?
The teachings of the blessed Amanat spread, and word of it reached the conclave of the Cognizance fleet. They recognized his teachings as tech heresy. Many tech priests suddenly vanished or were subjected to servo penance for minor transgressions. The students of Amanat, whose number included many enlightened and respected tech priests, resisted. My prognosis showed that our most likely future was a schism and a fratricidal war that would destroy the Cognizance fleet. That was when I headed to the Conclave. I confessed and handed the information about my mentor's research over to the Conclave. Brazen anthematic studies of the Forbidden Law. The Conclave could use that data to summon Archmagos Amanat to stand trial and compel him to repent on pain of excommunicate traitoris. His
Take care, Medina.
subsequent fate is unknown.
Good night. Good night. What are with these options? Yeah, you're a traitor. I don't care about you anymore. You did the right thing. Just as a good, loyal son should do. And I guess you really don't have a heart.
He gave up his mentor.
He turned in his mentor who was being heretical.
That's basically like somebody bringing over an LED light bulb instead of a fluorescent, or what are they called? The fuck's an actual name for a normal light bulb?
There are fluorescent light bulbs.
Well, yeah, but those are a different type.
The ones with the little tungsten wire.
Yep, the thingy that gets real fucking hot.
I don't know what the name of it is. It's just always been a light bulb.
I got an LED light bulb like 4 years ago. It's still going strong. And every now and then, just because I know I can, I'll touch it. And not burn myself.
In this case, I will just say, you acted as a loyal son of the Imperium should. And it's always just a nice flex to be able to just touch a light bulb despite it being on for a couple hours.
It feels nice, because that wasn't the case growing up. Growing up, it's, shit. It was on for like 3 seconds. It will peel my flesh from the bone.
No. That was a miss. But, yeah. You act as a loyal son of the Imperium should. Go ahead.
I pray that the Omnissiah grants us wisdom to overcome the dialectic differences that divide us.
He seems to disagree.
He seems to disagree. I disagreed. But I didn't want to call him heartless.
Man,
Or call him a traitor.
this is what you get.
This is what I get. This is what I have to live with.
You're trying
But
to
why'd you go do-
manipulate the responses instead of following your art.
What do you mean? That was following my heart. Because the other one was calling him heartless. Or calling him a traitor.
He wanted that, man.
Oh.
He wanted to be told that he did the wrong thing, that betraying somebody that cared about him and he was reprehensible. Instead, you're just like, good. You did what you were supposed to do.
Why'd they gotta be so tricky?
This
Just
game
say
is
what you want,
99%
right out.
writing.
It is.
Someone
Doing a
needs to
good
be a
job.
decent writer.
But that means you have to be decent at reading and interpreting what's going on. And I'm real dumb. Cause I will misread things.
And
And
I'll
I
let
get
you
the
do it.
completely wrong opinion.
Unless I see an extreme example.
You just let me live with it. So why did you go to Riker Minoris?
I was summoned there by a message that was encrypted with the Blessed Amanat's personal code, and could it be interpreted in several ways. One thing was certain. We were in danger, and I had to go to Rykat Minoris.
So the tech priest named Abel. Who is he? And where are you gonna take me that's not the bridge?
Assessing his personality is difficult. The spirit of Brother Abel is different from that of most people. Tech comrades of the Cog call such persons quiet ones. He possesses significant intellect, but shuns communication.
Hmm.
So far, I have not been able to determine why Abel summoned me to Rykat Minoris, how he is related to the Blessed Amanat, or why he bears the same name as me. Perhaps the Reverend Abel cannot fully actualize and interpret the available data.
I feel like he just called him autistic.
I was thinking that, but I didn't want to say it. Not for any real reason, because I thought I might be misunderstanding what he was actually trying to say.
You didn't have to back me up.
But you aren't. But you vocalized what I was thinking. So why wouldn't I? So what are you going to do next, now that we're here at this point?
I was wrong when I assumed it was the Blessed Archmagos Amanat, who assumed the
And he's
guise
just
of
standing in my character model,
But
You put
there
yourself
slowly
there.
inching
is a
forward.
connection between him and the Reverend Abel, and I intend to uncover the nature of this link.
I have no more questions. No, I have one more question. How much of him is middle?
Take him to the tub, find out.
Acknowledged. I will return to ruminating on the search for the Blessed Amanat.
Oh, you have more things to say. So, tell me about your past.
The request is approved. I have no outright restrictions on disclosing this information.
So, where are you from?
Information about my origins is worthless. I belong to the priesthood of explorators and came to the Coronis Expanse over 200 years ago. Any events preceding that moment are insignificant.
How did you end up in the Coronis Expanse?
I was honored to become a member of the Explorator Cognizance Fleet. When the Adeptus Mechanicus summoned the faithful for an exploratory venture into the depths of the Coronis Expanse, I joined the fleet in fulfillment of my sacred vows of comprehension.
Why are you not with the fleet then?
After I betrayed Archmagos Amanat, the fleet conclave directed me to
You see,
the
now I can hear that
Altar Templar
emotion
Ellipsis
on the word
X17
betrayed.
for penance. This venerable temple station was founded in the early years of our expansion into the Coronis Expanse. It is currently a rear observation post of the Cognizance fleet in orbit around the star Furibundus.
So who are the explorators?
The sacred fraternity of explorers. The cult Mechanica sends us out to the frontiers of the known sectors as researchers and conquerors. We are the warriors of the Code, who return to the lost worlds and devote themselves to recovering the lost ancient knowledge. Explorators are granted the privilege of being more independent than many of our tech comrades. However, it has earned us a reputation as unstable and poorly controlled troublemakers whose unorthodox views are dangerously close to apostasy.
Can you tell me about your men, Mechadendrites?
His Doc Ock
Those are kind
arms.
of cool.
They are my younger brothers and guides on the way to the Omnissiah. Their machine spirits are directly bound to my neocortex and pick up impulses from my subconscious. Sometimes they act ahead of my thoughts. This is how the Omnissiah leads me to comprehension.
Oh, so they literally are Doc Ock arms.
Yeah.
Oh. Oh, we can stop there for now.
Acknowledged.
Tell me more about the Adeptus Mechanicus.
I am honored to belong to the priesthood of Mars.
Oh boy, this is gonna be
guided by
expository.
its tenets. We safeguard technology against the impure and the
If it's just
unenlightened.
exposition, I don't mind skipping it.
I didn't say it was just exposition, I said it was going to be expository.
Why did you mention Mars? I thought that was an extinct planet that no one talks about anymore.
That is where the cult of the Omnissiah originated, and where we were granted the first revelations. Many millennia ago, we made an alliance with the Emperor of Terra, and have served the Imperium ever since, paying a tribute to machinery, weapons, and void ships. Everything that bears the blessed seal of machinery comes from our hands, and it is we who make sure the operating rituals are performed as they were meant to. We are everywhere. We are the Mars-forged steel bars that give the Imperium strength.
What do you mean you guard it? It's not buried treasure. It's not a secret.
It is both a treasure and a secret. Technology is how the divinity of the Omnissiah manifests itself in this world. This is why the uninitiated may only be allowed to touch the most vulgar and mundane of its instances. We, on the other hand, are authorized to use the sacred catechism of maintenance and operation. Although there is another reason to deny lay people the sacrament of knowledge, it can be dangerous. Twisted by renegades, the Omnissiah's wisdom is called heretic, and the exposure to it may corrupt the uninitiated. Another danger is knowledge, strangely interpreted and inscrutably twisted by the minds of Xenos. This bane is called Xenotech.
So they're banning things that they can't understand.
Yeah.
So banning things that you can't understand. It's the opposite of seeking knowledge. Technology is merely a tool that can be employed without risk by a wise wielder.
That is a bold hypothesis. And yet the Omnissiah teaches us that a dauntless mind can penetrate any knowledge through analysis. Where the ignorant see heresy, the enlightened might see truth.
That was a better response than you were expecting.
That indeed is a better response than I was expecting. I do not know what to think about Pascal at this point. I thought I understood him. I now realize I do not. In the slightest.
Let's keep it going.
Do you hold a high position in your fraternity?
This electu indicates that I am a Magos, who has mastered the sacraments of many spheres
Electu.
of knowledge.
Electric
and has the
tattoo.
right to conduct
Fuck off.
services in a forged
Electu.
Electu?
Electric
Electu.
tattoo. The word itself is what I'm besmirching.
It's an electric tattoo. I didn't know. Oh, I see. I skipped over it. Thinking it was just a normal word. What is the Messiah in your understanding?
He is the divine mechanism, the maker of technology. The universe was made to resemble a mechanical marvel because the Omnissiah rules over it. Knowledge is the highest form that he uses to manifest in the world. For now. Someday, he will come to this world in the absolute fullness of his splendor.
So a glorified Abraham Lincoln. That's not the person who you're supposed to be thinking of. Albert Einstein. Yeah, that's what it sounds like.
The Adeptus Mechanicus worshipped the Emperor.
Never mind.
He is the earthly manifestation of the Omnissiah, who brought humanity into the light of divine grace.
What is behind the Adeptus Mechanicus enthusiasm for replacing flesh with augmentations? You seem to have a lot of augmentations.
Organic tissue is an imperfect replica of the machine, transient and vulnerable. Metal is more stable, more effective, and more durable. Flesh speak is flawed next to binary language. Meat begets weakness, it softens the mind and undermines discipline. But you can replace metal when it wears down. In addition, a machine is a supreme form of knowledge, and by assuming mechanical form, we become closer to the Omnissiah. However, like all things sacred, our augmentations must not be defiled by the eyes of the ignorant. Which is why we reveal only the crudest of tools, while holier mechanisms remain concealed beneath our crimson robes.
Is that a flirtation option?
What? Oh.
I'm curious to see your augmentations after he says that all of his holiest augmentations are concealed beneath his robe.
Man, you're gonna have to make that choice on your own. But I will counterpoint, can you flirt with a toaster?
You can try. I'm curious about your augmentations.
The right to witness the miracle of flesh being fused with holy metal is granted only to those who have ascended to the rank of initiate. However, your lofty status of rogue trader allows me to make a partial exception and reveal my sacred stigmata.
He didn't say no.
Pascal reverently parts the robe's scarlet folds on his chest. You see emaciated white meat gnawed through by metallic shunts and flexible wires. Blood runs through transparent pipes enriched with the nutrients required by the pallid flesh. The sight of a body transformed into an appendage to an incredibly complex mechanism built using unfathomably ancient blueprints is mesmerizing. Every component of this machine serves the dual purpose of preserving life in Pascal's fragile flesh and preventing all threats to his well-being.
The homicide has been generous to you. This creation is keeping you safe from death. Because the second one is just insulting him.
Ew, you're gross.
The Omnissiah has been generous to you too. He has granted you understanding.
Hey, you talk funny.
Bro.
It's because you have augmentations, or it's because of your faith? You were saying?
Just, yeah, you talk funny.
Partially true. I had a voice modulator implanted alongside the respiratory purification module, but there is an additional reason. Gothic is not my first language. I am used to thinking and making statements in lingua technis. The binaric language is more informative, more ergonomic, and less prone to misinterpretation.
Oh, so he has translators. Both the Fox box that his voice coming from, and probably with his ears. I have no more questions for you.
Acknowledged.
I will leave now. Goodbye.
May your labors
Are we
be
done with
effective
Pascal?
and fruitful.
That's done with Pascal.
Man, I think we got like 2 more to go and we're an hour and a half in. I'm making another cut.
Yeah, you're right.
Woohoo! Fade
Whoa.
to black.